So I decided just to look up Elon Musk's family just to see, I know he's from South Africa, but some people might find this interesting. So Elon Musk's paternal great-grandmother was a Dutch woman descended from the Dutch Freeburgers, while one of his maternal great-grandparents came from family in Switzerland. His paternal grandmother was English from Liverpool, and his paternal grandfather, Walter Henry Musk, was South African. Elon Musk's father, Earl Musk, a South African former electrical and mechanical engineer, consultant, and property developer who was involved in emerald mines in the 80s and was a member of the South African Progressive Federal Party. It's no big deal or anything, that's their system. His maternal grandparents, Winifred Josephine Wynne and Joshua Norman Hadelman, were explorers who lived in South Africa and Canada and searched for the lost city of the Kalahari. Joshua Hadelman was a former director of Technocracy Incorporated and a political activist who ran for the Canadian Parliament on the Social Credit Party ticket and headed the Canadian branch of the Technocracy movement. Here's the symbol for Technocracy. Official symbol of Technocracy movement. A balance between consumption and production, but there's more. The Technocracy movement was a social movement active in the United States and Canada in the 30s, which favored technocracy as a system of government over representative democracy and partisan politics. Historians associate the movement with engineer Howard Scott's Technical Alliance and Technocracy Incorporated prior to the internal factionalism that dissolved the latter organization during the Second World War. Technocracy was ultimately overshadowed by other proposals for dealing with the crisis of the Great Depression. The Technocracy, every time you have to say it too many times, it's like a tongue twister. The Technocracy movement proposed replacing partisan politics and business people with scientists and engineers who had the technical expertise to manage the economy, but the movement did not fully aspire to scientocracy. Yes, scientocracy, let me tell you what that is before I move on. So this was American physician who supported this, Peter Ubel, a proponent of scientocracy, making that reflects about reflecting human nature. When I talk about scientocracy, then I'm not talking about a world ruled by behavioral scientists or any other kind of scientists. Instead, I'm imagining a government of the people, but informed by scientists. A world where people don't argue endlessly about whether educational vouchers will improve schools, whether gun control will reduce crime, or whether health-saving accounts can lower healthcare expenditures, but one instead where science has a chance to show us whether vouchers, gun control laws, and health savings accounts work, and if so, under what conditions. Well, we've been living under that's for sure, huh? That's all about the experts. Scientocracy. So this was back during the Depression. Yeah. The movement was committed to abstaining from all partisan politics and communist revolution. It gained strength in the 30s, but in the 40s, due to opposition to the Second World War, it was banned in Canada. The ban was lifted in 1943 when it was apparent that Technocracy Inc. was committed to the war effort, proposing a program of total consignment. I'm not sure, it's cut off. That's just a zoomed in. Howard Scott has been called the founder of the Technocracy movement, and he started the Technical Alliance in New York near the end of 1919. Members of the alliance were mostly scientists and engineers. The Technical Alliance started an energy survey of North America, which aimed to provide a scientific background from which ideas about a new social structure could be developed. However, the group broke up in 1921 before the survey was completed. In 1932, Scott and others interested in the problems of technological growth and economic change began meeting in New York. Their ideas gained national attention, and the Committee on Technocracy was formed at Columbia University. However, the group was short-lived, and in January 1933 splintered into two other groups, the Continental Committee on Technocracy and Technocracy Incorporated. Smaller groups included Technical Alliances, the New Machine, and the Utopian Society of America. At the core of Scott's vision was an energy theory of value, since the basic measure common to the production of all goods and services was energy. He reasoned that the sole scientific foundation for the monetary system was also energy, and that society could be designed more efficiently by using an energy metric instead of a monetary metric. Technocracy Inc. officials wore a uniform consisting of a well-tailored double-breasted suit, gray shirt, and blue necktie, and its members saluted Scott in public. Technocracy's heyday lasted only from June 1930 till June 1932, when the New York Times became the first influential press organ to report its activities, until 1933, when Scott, attempting to silence his critics, delivered what some critics called a confusing and uninspiring address on a well-publicized national radio. The technocrats made a believable case for a kind of technological utopia, but their asking price was too high. The idea of a political democracy still represented a stronger ideal than technological elitism in the end. Critics believed that the socially desirable goals that technology made possible could be achieved without the sacrifice of existing institutions and values, and without incurring the apocalypse that technocracy predicted. They even had a calendar. They were going to change the calendar so that they could make you more efficient, make everything different. Technocracy is the science of social engineering, the scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population of this continent. For the first time in human history, it will be done as a scientific technical engineering problem. There will be no place for politics or politicians, finance or financiers, rackets or racketeers. Technocracy states that this method of operating the social mechanism of the North American continent is now mandatory because we have passed from a state of actual scarcity into present status of potential abundance, in which we are now held to an artificial scarcity forced upon us in order to continue a price system which can distribute goods only by means of a medium exchange. Technocracy states that price and abundance are incompatible. The greater the abundance, the smaller the price. In a real abundance, there can be no price at all. I'm not even going to read all of it. But basically, getting to this calendar, they plan to reform the work schedule to achieve the goal of uninterrupted production, maximizing the efficiency and profitability of resources. And they were going to change the work week to 10-hour days. Yeah, so this is your globalism. So do you see how the parallels here? How, chips in the brain, and it's still the technology and the scientists that want to be in charge of everything. Maybe they should just let the everyday people be in charge. I'm just wondering how it would work out. Maybe we would have a better abundance because we'd have more of a moral foundation in place.